Hello, hello, and welcome to the Finding the Unicorn in You podcast. I am your host, Dr. Jaime Raigosa, here to help you unlock your unique potential and thrive into your career. Get ready to explore inspiring stories and practical strategies that will empower you not only to prevent burnout, but also achieve sustainable success. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finding the Unicorn in You. Today, I have a fantastic individual who not only is a coach, but she's a burnout coach and does so much more than that. That's just barely touching the surface. Today, we have Linda Joy Ben, who is an international speaker, trainer, and founder of the Ben Method, specializing in helping corporate professionals and business owners overcome burnout and reclaim their health through a holistic approach. With over 30 years of expertise, she has transformed her own life and thousands of others, focusing on mind-body connection to heal from stress, fatigue, and chronic illness. As a transformational catalyst in the industry leader, Linda empowers individuals to lead a healthier, more balanced life by integrating wellness into their personal and professional worlds. So without further ado, here's Linda.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Great to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And I know we're in totally different, complete different time zones. Over here, we're on a Thursday. Over there, you're on a Friday. So
Friday morning.
Why don't you tell the listeners kind of like where you're at and a little bit more about you, and we'll start there.
So, where to start? Well, yes, I've been in the health and wellness industry for over 30 years because I first met my spiritual teacher back in 1990 when I had cancer. And he helped me to understand why I created the cancer and looking at all the emotional unresolved issues I was pushing down that created the cancer, and then explaining how the mind body spirit connection works, and also helping me to understand the roles of all my family and that I chose my family coming into this life. So instead of being a victim, actually going, oh, on a soul level, I actually have agreements and contracts with each member of the family, and we're all playing roles. And that just changed my whole perspective and outlook, because I was emotionally suffering and really struggling and not understanding why I was ostracized, why they didn't understand me, why they treated me the way that they did. And from that learning, and it's that put me on a whole path of learning as much as I could over the decades about holistic health and mental health and why people create illness and disease in their body, as well as more on we are the creator and there's always a cause and effect. And so that's what led me into the work that I've been doing for decades, because every single person is learning and growing as a soul. And so back when I was doing more on the physical, doing the body work and then the energy work and the healing work. And so that was my background as a remedial therapist. And people would say, I've got pain here, or I've got pain here, or this hurts. They would leave feeling fantastic and going, unstoppable, I feel great. But then the next time they came back, it's like, oh, that pain is back. And it's like, that's what really I went, okay, what's underneath? And that's when I really started working on the root cause of what is creating this physical pain, because the physical pain is just the symptom. So that's when I started going much deeper. And then in 2004, I met another spiritual teacher who I learnt the Palawa healing, which is more of an enlightenment modality about shifting consciousness, expanding awareness, and connecting all 12 strands of DNA. And that just gave me a aha, like, oh, stop focusing on the physical body. When we shift this, then the physical body will take care of itself, because that's the power of the mind. So I was way ahead of my time, um, but I was really excited about, okay, I'm going to go and teach, all these workshops and help people to shift consciousness. So that's what I'm still doing, 20 years later. But really empowering people to take charge of their health and their life, and to make better choices and decisions to create the outcome and the results that they want in their life. And so it's really every client that I work with, it's empowering them to believe in themselves. And because I healed myself of cancer. And even when my mum, and it was actually 20 years ago, when she created cancer, and well, she had cancer as well as a tumor the size of a tennis ball. And I said, well, you created it, you can uncreate it. And that's the power of the mind. It's like, why do we create these things? But once you understand the emotional attachment to that, then you can dissolve it. And that's the power that all humans have. But in this reality, it's like, oh no, you dumb down, and you have to give your power away to the medical profession. And there's nothing wrong with the medical profession. If like you were in a car accident, you needed the medical profession to help you through that. So absolutely, that they're playing a very important role. But when it comes to individuals' health on a daily basis, this is where every single person has the ability to heal their own body, to transform, transmute, transcend, and dissolve any physical pain, emotional pain, and even mental thoughts and the story. So over the years, I've been going more into the childhood trauma of where it all started. And that's really where I start with people. It's like, let's just go straight to the root cause. You got the tip of the iceberg, and you can keep talking about all your traumatic stories, or go right to the bottom of the iceberg and resolve it from there, and then it just all melts away. So that's the way I've been working with all my clients over the years, helping more, empowering them to take back their power, believe in themselves, and that, yeah, that they can change their life, transform anything into, it's not just a physical thing, but looking at what's working, what's not working, and then let's create the outcome that you choose to have. So in regards to burnout, there's a lot of, it's like, well, what's actually causing the burnout? And let's look at certain changes to make. So I've just collected many tools over the decades, and I just pulled whatever tool out of my tool bag that I need for, that's appropriate in the moment. Yeah, because no one's broken and no one needs fixing, but it's like, well, here's a tool, and go out and be joyful. Start using
Yeah.
this tool, and it's like miracles happen. And, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I feel happy and joyful and full of energy. And, it's really about having faith and trust in yourself.
Hmm.
So that's in a nutshell. And yeah, but I'll just carry on, because it's like I'm in Australia, so I was doing all of this in Australia and traveling and teaching, but also traveling back and forth to the US, teaching workshops. And then in 2010 I decided to actually move to California and live there for 7 years. And in that time I also worked in Silicon Valley with a tech company, and I saw firsthand the stress
Mm.
that is, yeah, on a daily basis. I would just see it in everyone who goes to the office, and it's like, wow, how can I make a difference? And so I was with this company for 5 years, and unfortunately, stock prices declined and
Hmm.
they no longer exist, though I truly cared about every single person in that company, and was doing my best to raise the energy vibration and the energy, and heal everybody, and empower them. And in that process I got burnt out, and that's when
Hmm.
I came back to Australia, and it's created my Ben method of balance, energy, nurture and nourish as the steps that I needed to take in order to heal my own body from burnout, because I was at rock bottom. And it's like, well, I created this, and I can heal my body, and teach others how to do the same through my method. So I'll stop there.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing that journey with us. I know that that's not easy to talk about and, hit sensitive topics, but thank you so much for that. And what I'm curious about is not many people can do what you do in the sense of taking something traumatic and making it something beautiful out of it. And I think that's a unicorn quality in itself because it's rare to find people. A lot of population, especially clients that I've worked with, tend to have a different mindset with this happened, so therefore I'm a victim. But you took it as this happened, now I'm going to become a healer. I'm going to become a change maker. I'm going to be helping other people. What helped you take that mindset versus the latter?
I would say the belief in my spiritual teacher back in 1990. He helped me to understand who I was as a soul, and what my purpose was in this life. And I've still got the painting on my wall. He painted a picture of me in this life and several of my past lives. And I would go and spend 2 days every single week with him. So everything that I learned during that time, that was way before, you don't learn in a seminar, a workshop, university, nothing. It's like I just absorbed all this knowledge and wisdom, but it came direct, from the universe, from source, from God, whatever word, resonates with people. And it just gave me such a strong belief and knowing of remembering who I am as a soul. And that to stop looking for the external world for validation or acknowledgement or even love and acceptance, because I kept asking why. Why doesn't my family love me? Why don't they, treat me kind or be nice? Or yeah, I kept asking why. Well, that wasn't their role. If the agreement was, we're going to go down to earth and we're going to treat you, we're going to abuse you, we're going to, be horrible and nasty, because that's the agreement. So instead of looking for them to love and support me, to know that that all comes internally, for me to love and accept myself and know that I'm supported by source energy, from the collective, from the universe. It's like I'm doing God's work on this planet. And so knowing that yeah, that's my soul's mission, my soul's purpose, and knowing that I'm being guided on a daily basis, but also living this human experience and learning and growing and looking at my own patterns and programs and old trauma that I've had to work through over the years. And so when clients come to see me, it's like I can see the same patterns in them, because been there, done that, and here's the tool to overcome it. So it's learned experience as well as a lot of learning that I've learned in this life, but it's also bringing ancient wisdom into this life from many, many past lives. I know I go back to Atlantis, so I've just collected a lot of things in my life, but it just on that point, it's interesting because my family that I have in this life have killed me in several past lives, and called me a witch and burnt me at the stake and poisoned me and all of that. So in this life it was like, right, I'm going to survive this one. And there was a couple of times where it was touch and go, and but I'm still here to be of service to humanity.
I love that. What would you say? Let's say that there's listeners out there, because I know some of the clients that I work with, some of the listeners that listen to this podcast, typically want to open up their own business. They want to be go into the helping field, whether it be a therapist, a coach, a mentor. What are some things that you notice in your industry that have been kind of blockages from you to be able to fully help the clients that you're working with?
Yeah, not believing in yourself and
Mhm.
still carrying your own blockages,
Yeah.
and and those doubts and the fears. And so until you can fully come back and really take responsibility and do your own inner work, no one else can do it for you. It's really, we are at a pivotal time here on earth right now, and every single person, needs to go, right,
Hmm.
this is my responsibility and only I can change this. And it's like grabbing the bull by the horns and looking at the fear, right, and going,
Hmm.
no, I'm more powerful. You are not taking me down. And actually facing those fears, facing all, really there's only two emotions, love and fear. So
Hmm.
which one do you choose? And so, and looking at all the past trauma and stories and beliefs and the patterns, because see, everything that you're doing in your life and your history and things that have worked and not worked is actually the blueprint of your life on, oh, you keep repeating this same pattern, or you keep attracting this same person into your life and having these dysfunctional relationships, maybe take a step back and look at what that pattern is within you. Or the same with health issues, and or jobs. If you keep getting laid off, it's like, okay, there's a pattern there. So this is where we're all at, is really being true to ourselves and looking at those patterns and taking responsibility and go, right, okay, what's the root cause, and where is this coming from, and changing it.
That is so powerful, and I have to agree with you 1,000% in that. A lot of the clients that come with me typically start off with everything around me is what makes me my problems me. Like it's everybody else, it's not me. And when you take that external locus of control point of view, then you really don't have a control over your life. But when you switch that to you allowed all of this to happen to you, you let it
Yeah.
enter your life, you decided not to set those boundaries, you decided not to, take control over it, then that's what the problem is. Those are the patterns that you're talking about. That's what you have to do. And
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing when you finally get someone to realize, oh, this happened to me because I allowed them to keep abusing me. This happened to me
Mm,
because I chose to do nothing. And one of the biggest things that I tell people is doing nothing is still a choice.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
you have you
Absolutely. Yeah.
have
Because we all making choices and decisions on a daily basis. And so it's every time you get to make a choice, is like, well, does that make me feel good? Does that make me feel strong? And stopping and really trusting your feelings. And it is really a process of just going from head to heart, because in the head the ego will go, oh no, they did this to me, and they're a bad person, and this and that, and so that's where forgiveness comes in. And actually forgiving all the people that have come into your life that have wronged you or betrayed you or hurt you, or even ripped you off in business. It's like I attracted them into my life for me to learn something. Yeah, part of our human journey is forgiving those who have wronged us or betrayed us or hurt us, and again taking responsibility. And it's like, well, okay, I've got one of my brothers and sisters in front of me who is a mirror, and we have an agreement on a soul level that they would teach me how to maybe have clear boundaries and say no and not give my power away, or to give money away to someone who has, ripped you off, or everyone's got a story related to money. So it's about going, okay, what did I learn from this lesson? And what's fun in this human experience is learning from our lessons and not repeating them, because when we repeat them, then that becomes a problem because it's a pattern, and then that becomes a habit. And until you actually, again, like, take responsibility, take the bull by the horns and go, well, no, I choose a different path. And, there's the metaphor, if you're going down the road, you fall in a hole, and it's like you climb back out, and then it's like, oh, okay, there's a hole there. Then the second time you go down the same road, and it's like, and you fall in the hole again. It's like, well, I've been in this hole before, and I learnt how to get out. So and then you learn from that. So you climb back out a bit quicker. But then the third time, it's like, well, that road is full of holes. I'm going this way, and choose a new road. And that's the choices that we all get to make on a daily basis, is make a new choice that empowers you, that makes you feel good, and stop repeating the same old patterns. You know, Einstein's quote, if you keep doing the same thing, you get the same result. So it is,
Exactly.
it does cause craziness and madness. So, and that's what causes the mental health, and that's what causes, you know, the sleepless nights and stressing about all these things. It's like, whoa, you know, stop, pull back, and just breathe, breathe, because no one came here and put their hand up and said, I want to struggle and suffer and be a victim in this life.
Mm-mm.
No one. Every single person on this planet is a powerful, magnificent, amazing being. And our job in this life is to remember who we truly are. So when
Mhm.
I say come back to your true self, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard because human beings are creatures of habit. However, these habits don't always serve us. Change could like real good things in our life cannot happen unless we're open to change and we're open to adapt. And we have to be able to reflect and analyze what is serving us, what is not serving us. And it's a continuous cycle. You're never going to reach that sense of bliss and happiness unless you're willing to continue doing that reflection and working on it and going through it, because it's so easy for us to fall down that rabbit hole, and like you said, going down the wrong path, and in one small decision can have a huge ripple effect in our lives.
Absolutely. Yes. And if we don't resolve it in this life, well, then we just come back and repeat it again and again. So I was always, well, maybe this was wishful thinking. I I thought everyone on the planet is here to, you know, become enlightened and conscious and aware. And but yeah, my spiritual teacher reminded me, well, no, not everyone will, and there's going to be a lot of people that still go to their grave kicking and screaming and still angry. And it's like, oh, and that was disappointing because I thought, well, our job in this life is to find that peace, love, and joy in our heart, and really come back, you know, back to our true authentic self, and be the being that we truly are. But not everyone is making that choice. So that's where we're at a tipping point right now. And on this earth, and there's so many, thankfully, there's so many people awakening to consciousness and spirituality, and just waking up to new ways of being, though there is still a percentage that chooses something else, and just have love and compassion for them. No judgment.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, and just bless them. You know, it's freedom is my one of my number one values, and it's all about being free. So the more you can be free in your life, physically, emotionally, mentally, and not be dragged back into that heaviness and that dense energy. It's like, hey, let's just play on this playground that we call Earth
Mm-hmm.
and
And just
have fun,
fun. Exactly.
and, and wake up excited every single day and go, wow, what amazing adventures are going to unfold today, and who will I meet, and what, conversations will I have, and just putting that energy out that, yeah, this is a playground for us to co-create with source energy. And so what do you choose to create? Well, go do that. Who do you aspire to be? Be that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all have that ability to, be and do and have anything. So go do that. Do what brings you joy. And that's why I use my middle name of Joy, because that's my whole purpose for being here,
I love that.
and showing people how to find their joy.
That's amazing. And I know that sometimes we can do all the work with ourselves, but we're going to be placed with people that may not have the same mentality and may have some blockages that make them still see old point of views. So recently, actually, I went to a networking event with a lot of business owners, and I bumped into a CEO that has a pretty huge company with like thousands of individuals under him. And as soon as he saw what I did, he came up to me. He's like, "So you do with the burnout and employee retention?" And I was like, "I do." And they're like, "I have a question for you. How can I convince people that coming back into the office is the best choice for them and is going to be better for their mental health and is going to be better for their burnout?" And I was just like, and then
How did you answer that?
we went in a whole different conversation, and I already knew we weren't going to agree on the same ideals because I told them, is this what the employee, have you asked them what they want to see? Have you asked them what they want to do, what makes them happy? He's like, I know what's best for them. I've been in this industry for X amount of years. It's hard work. You need to put long hours, you need to put X, Y, and Z. And he was just naming every single thing that causes burnout. And I was like, well, that we're not going to really find a middle ground here, just because what your ideals of hard work and ethic is what causes all of these workplace traumas. And he would like whatever I said, he was just very close-minded. He ended up just like walking away because he didn't get what he was wanting to
That's
get from me. So my question
yeah.
for you is, how do you navigate in this world when you still have those type of peoples in leadership that have
Mm.
that type of mentality?
Well, maybe, showing them that, okay, you've got this result, and because most CEOs, they're a lot of left brain, so you have to show the facts and the figures and the data, so you can start asking question, well, what is your turnover rate? Okay. And what's the length of time people actually work for your company? How long do they stay? And so start looking at all the stats and going, oh, I see a pattern here. And so are you saying over the, decades you've been in business, that all these people are wrong, or it's like just gently, and saying it with love and compassion, just showing them the stats and going, well, do you think that over the years you've had thousands of employees who have just left, within their probation period, or they've just quit, or they've, the sick leave is X amount of, all the percentages. So start using those percentages and just going, do you think all these people are the problem? And or how are you responsible? What part of, just think about, where are you responsible for the expectations that you're putting on these people? Um, but I would, if I was having a deeper conversation, I would actually go back to asking more childhood, because this goes back to their beliefs that were programmed in as a child, where in order to be successful and loved in this life, you have to work hard. I was brought up, my dad, said, I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No one gives me anything. You have to work for it. So that was the subconscious programming I had. And I see these people who still holding on to that old belief, and even the ones that go and get PhD after PhD, and they just keep studying and studying, and it's like, oh, this is a worthiness issue, because why do you need all those accolades and all these pieces of paper in order to feel enough and to feel worthy? And when will you love and accept yourself? And that's one of the things my teacher would say, you just have to love and accept yourself. And even back then it's like, oh well, I'm trying, or I'm nearly there, or I'm nearly like. And she went, no, you're either pregnant or you're not. It's a black and white. It's like there's no I'm getting there, or I'm trying, or I'm nearly there. It's like, yeah, you can't be nearly pregnant. You're pregnant or you're not. So that's another analogy.
No, and I agree, and that's the same type of mentality that I try to go into things, especially when I'm working with individuals that I know are just not, because most of the time HR is the ones who contract me, not the CEO. So when we go up to that route, they're thinking that I'm gonna do what they want to do. And I was like, that's not the
Mm,
purpose here. What you're gonna do is actually gonna bring down morale. You're gonna create bigger issues, and we start having this conflict. But bringing in the stats, bringing in the surveys, bringing in all that data, and it really does come down to not even that, because sometimes they don't care. Because I've shown the data, and they say what I see here is just people are lazy. They're not as hard workers as they used to be, and then they make their own judgments, their own justifications for why the data not shows the way it is. And you're like, could there be any other possible reason other than that? you know, it's maybe that,
mhm,
and it really it does go back to the way that we view things, and sometimes they need to be put into their perspective to figure things out, and really seeing like if you were in their position, and this is the type of behavior, like um things that were pressures that were put upon you, would you thrive even in your current position now? And
mm,
the way that I make them relate is, if they have like, oh, like if it's a nonprofit, how does your board make you feel? Do you feel like pressured? And they're like, no, I'm not valued, blah blah blah. And I was just like, so that same type of feeling is what they're feeling from you. So you're just projecting from what here to over there. For the
yeah,
CEOs, like if they have like investors or things like that, I ask them, how do they make them feel? How does it feel when they have all these constraints, and then
mm,
they're not able to use their creativity, they're not able to do all of that and really be themselves?
yeah,
Most of the time they feel like it's not okay, and I was like, that's how you make them feel. So by making them fully understand everything, it does make a big difference, but you do have to go back into the core. Where did that behavior start and that belief start, so that you can create
that's
that change?
right. And that's where I would direct the conversation. Tell me about what happened at 5 or 7, or because I've been born with an intuitive gift. Well, we're all psychic, but it's just feeling in, because one of the gifts that I have is tuning into a person and receiving messages, but also looking energetically where the energy is blocked in their body or in their field, and just listening to the language that they're using and the words they're choosing. And that pretty much gives you a clear idea of their model of the world and where the blocks are. So it's like, well, tell me about what happened, about, yeah, your childhood at this age, if it's that specific, or tell me about how you grew up, your parents, and tell me about your mum and your dad, because we're all parts of each of them. And what I'll beliefs and programs did we take on from all the generations? And that, yeah, now we're trying to play that out and we're projecting that onto others, and our expectations are not working for others because it's like that's why there's such a pandemic of burnout right
Yeah.
now, because the old ways of being, and you have to work hard, and it's, yeah, that doesn't work. It's about working smart but also having that balance, and that's why in my program we start with the balance. Let's look at all those areas that are out of balance in your life, and then start rebalancing those areas in your life as well as internally.
Yep.
Mm.
No, I completely agree. And that's what you have to do. And you have to really have to do a more introspective approach. And like I said, take responsibility for your life and what's going around you and then going that route. So we are
Yeah,
running
yeah.
out of time. So we're at the space where we are in the last question, which is the most important question for listeners. What is the unicorn lesson that you want them to leave from today that will help them excel in their careers and in their personal journeys?
Oh, to take a step back and stop and listen to your inner guidance, and and this can be meditation, it can be going on a hike, connecting in nature, just and stop and breathe, and really looking and being aware of what's happening in your physical body, but listening to your feelings, because your feelings are more important than your thinking. And so when you can just go, oh, I feel this, or I feel, something, a sensation here where there's a blockage, and then trusting your inner guidance, because you have all the answers within you. It's like, keep asking the questions, and the more we can be in stillness and just listening to those answers within, that's when we can take charge of our life and fully transform into who we are meant to be in this life.
I completely love that. This has been such an amazing conversation. I can probably go for like another hour, but you're
Thank you, Jamie.
you definitely
Yeah.
your wisdom and the years that you put into this and just like your level of experiences is so vast. And if somebody wants to hire you or wants to know more about you or just wants or is curious about the Ben method, how can they do so?
Well, first, yeah, my website, which is lindaben.com, and book a call. Let's have a one-to-one conversation and start from there. And then if we're a good fit, great, happy to support you and your team, and or you individually, because each individual has their own personal things going on for them. It's not just always about their, work and colleagues. But yeah, having that conversation, that's where I'd start. And there's more information on my website. And so book a call. Mm.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Linda. For listeners, all of this information will be in the show notes. So feel free to just go scroll down, click the links. That way you can go ahead and visit Linda's website. As a quick reminder, episodes come out every Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And go if you go to my website at rainbowcareercoaching.com, click the unicorn wall of fame, you'll actually see Linda in a small blog and summation of what we talked about here today with all the links as well. So thank you so much, Linda, for everything, and until next time.
My pleasure. Yeah, thank you so much, Jamie. Thanks. Goodbye, everyone.